Pre nego što krenemo, molila bih vas da ukoliko je potreban prevod, kliknete na opciju Translate. Before we begin, I would kindly ask you if a translation is needed, please just click on the Translate option. Dragi učesnici, čast mi je da danas organizujemo prvi u nizu webinar o održivom izvozu koji će Privredna komora Srbije u saradnji sa švajcarskim programom promocije uvoza SIPO realizovati u narednom periodu u sektorima prirodnih sastojaka, tekstila i prerade drveta. Današnji webinar Kako ispuniti zahteve nemačkih kupaca voća i tržišne trendove posebno je osmišljen i posvećen boljoj informisanosti, edukaciji, smernicama i praktičnim savjetima za održivi izvoz značajnim za proizvođače smrznutog, sušenog i prerađenog voća, kako konvencionalnog, tako i organskog, na ovo dinamično i sve značajnije evropsko tržište. Šta je održivi izvoz? Uspešnost primjene principa održivosti, sustainability i ESG faktora u domaćim izvoznim kompanijama u značajnoj meri će opredeliti konkurentnost naše privrede na inostranim tržištima, kao i uključivanje naših kompanija u međunarodne lance vrednosti. Iz tog razloga, cilj Privredne komore Srbije je da u narednom periodu radi na promociji, edukaciji i pružanju podrške izvoznim kompanijama kako bi primenili principe održivog poslovanja i lakše se prilagodili zahtevima kupaca na inostranim tržištima. Hvala vam svima na prisustvu i sigurno smo da će današnje obraćanje i diskusija biti od značaja za sve proizvođače i izvoznike. Kako bi sesija ispunila vaše očekivanja, pozivamo vas da postavite pitanje za naše govornike u opciji chat. Napominjem da će snimak današnjeg webinara biti dostupan na YouTube kanalu Privredne komore Srbije. Svedoci smo da se trenutna situacija na evropskom tržištu menja uz sve više rastuće zahteve za održivim poslovanjem i trgovinom. Istovremeno, pravi je trenutak za domaće proizvođače i izvoznike da počnu sa primjenom principa održivosti i da na taj način se bolje pozicioniraju kako bi obezbedili stabilno i dugoročno snabdevanje evropskog tržišta voća. Konkurentna privreda danas podrazumeva da kompanije moraju da primene principe održivog poslovanja kako bi zadržale konkurentsku poziciju na međunarodnom tržištu. Upravo je to bila ideja vodilja za organizaciju današnjeg webinara. Zato smo pokrenuli webinare o ovoj značajnoj temi kako bi se omogućilo podizanje svesti privrede, ali i njeno usaglašavanje sa zahtevima održivosti koje primenjuju kompanije na međunarodnim tržištima. Danas imamo priliku da predstavimo i čujemo sjajne govornike, eksperte u oblasti održivog poslovanja, ali i plasmana i pozicioniranja prehrambenih proizvoda na tržište Nemačke. Pre nego što počnemo sa zvaničnim delom, još jednom bih zamolila učesnike da postave pitanja u opciji chat o svim izazovima i nedoumicama koje imaju prilikom planiranja i realizacije izvoza voća i povrća na tržište Nemačke, posebno iz perspektive usaglašenosti sa rastućim zahtevima kupaca za standardima i održivost. Za početak, želela bih da dam uvodnu reč gospođi Širida Mija Putrinda, rukovodiocu sektora za održivost i digitalizaciju švajcarskog programa promocije uvoza SIPO. Šira, izvolite.
Thank you, Dušanka. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure joining you today. I am Shira, the lead sustainability and digitalization representing Swiss Import Promotion Program SIPO. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dušanka, advisor to President Chamber of Commerce and Industry Serbia, for the warm invitation. With increasing demands for sustainable business and trade, Integrating responsible practices into export promotion has become essential for exporters to remain competitive. Buyers and consumers, particularly in high-end markets like EU or Germany and Switzerland, now look closely at sustainability efforts and credentials, making it a critical component for successful market entry, long-term business growth, and resilience. SIPO is a well-established mandate within the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, SECO, and our focus is on integrating developing and transition countries into world trade in ways that are inclusive, responsible, and sustainable. Sustainability is truly at the heart of SIPO's mission, and we pursue it through key areas of focus. First, we work with business support organizations, or BSOs, as the central pillars of our approach, making sure that our impact goes beyond individual companies to strengthen the export ecosystems. SIPO collaborates with over 40 business support organizations across 12 partner countries, including Serbia, to provide capacity development, resources, and guidance they need to support local exporters in accessing international markets. This webinar is a perfect example of our collaboration with a valued BSO partner, the Serbian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, bringing SIPO's guiding principle for sustainable trade, or GPST, to action. The Principle 1 of SIPO GPST provides a guide that all SIPO-supported BSO activities comply with legal requirements relevant to each sector. This is especially relevant here, as we are discussing the regulatory expectations and standards necessary for Serbian exporters to successfully meet market demands in Germany. By embedding this legal compliance, we build trust, credibility, and create a competitive advantage for Serbian exporters. Another crucial part of our sustainability approach is reflected in Principle 5 of SIPO GPST. This emphasizes on SIPO's commitment to multi-stakeholder partnerships. Today's webinar, organized jointly with SIPO Serbian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the International Trade Center, and Enterprise Europe Network, also Green Seat Germany, demonstrates the power of these partnerships. By joining forces, we create strong support network that enables BSOs to integrate sustainability into their services and connect exporters with the new market opportunities that prioritize sustainable, responsible trade. Together with the Serbian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, SIPO is very committed to facilitating compliance with the EU and Swiss market standards, strengthening our support for our valued partner in Serbia as we work to build resilient and sustainable trade practices for the country's export competitiveness. Thank you very much again for the warm invitation, and I look forward to the discussions.
Hvala Šira najlepše na podršci. Da podsjetim samo da se webinar organizuje u okviru intervencije Održiv pristup tržištu, usmerene ka pružanju podrške razvoju novih poslovnih usluga promocije i izvoza Privredne komore Srbije u cilju jačanja konkurentnosti i održivosti domaće privrede koja se implementira kroz tehničku podršku švajcarskog programa za promociju izvoza SIPO u Republici Srbiji. Realizacija ovog webinara sprovodi se u saradnji sa projektom Međunarodnog trgovinskog centra ITC, promocija trgovine na istoku i Evropske mreže preduzetništva. Sa tim u vezi dajem reč gospođi Frederini Derlo, rukovodiocu programa za pristup tržištima i glavnom ekspertu za voće i povrće Međunarodnog trgovinskog centra. Frederini, izvolite.
Thank you, Dushenka. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you to all the partners, the Chamber of Commerce, the colleagues from SIPO. Welcome to the exporters. My name is Frédéric Diallo. I work at the International Trade Center in Geneva, ITC in short. ITC is a United Nations agency. We provide technical assistance. We are currently implementing a SECO-funded project called Trade Promotion East, supporting Serbia, among other countries. The idea of the project is to support the fresh apple sectors from Serbia and the processed sour cherry sector. Our role and our activities is strengthening the export of Serbian exporters in those sectors, either strengthening exports or helping also to diversify. For example, for fresh apple, we had market linkages activities in Europe, but also in the Middle East, because we know Middle East and Asia, for instance, for fresh Serbian apple is more and more important. We have activities on training also on European buyer requirements. So I'm really looking forward to Nicole's presentation. We have in 2 weeks a delegation of fruit exporters from Serbia attending Food Ingredients in Germany, so the timing could not be better. And in the fruit sector is very close to my heart because I used to be a fruit buyer, importing about 10,000 tons of fruit and veg every year for the Swiss supermarket and the UK supermarket. So I look forward to the presentation, the Q&A, and I want to thank again the colleagues from SIPO. So we have the synergies on this project and obviously the continuous support from Dushanka and the team from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much.
Hvala najlepše, Frederin, na ekstenzivnoj podrški, zaista. Sada koristim priliku da predstavim našeg sledećeg govornika u uvodnom delu, mog dragog kolegu Aleksandra Bogunovića, sekretara Udruženja za biljnu proizvodnju i prehrambenu industriju Privredne komore Srbije. Aleksandre, zamolila bih te da nam pružiš jedan kratak osvrt na potencijale domaće proizvodnje i prerade voća i da nam ukažeš na to koje bi to bile mogućnosti za dalje širenje izvoza uz primjenu principa održivog poslovanja, jer sam sigurna da to veoma interesuje naše učesnike. Hvala ti.
Dobar dan svima. Hvala svima što ste se i okupili u ovom broju. Evo da kažemo, projekat, od pripreme projekta kako smo krenuli, pa već ima više od godinu dana, da ne kažem skoro 2 godine kada smo krenuli da razmišljamo šta je to potencijal i čime treba da se bavimo, pa kad vam neko kaže suzite to na ono što je najperspektivnije, onda stvari dođete do velikog problema da napravite jednu ozbiljnu analizu pa da vidite šta je to što ima potencijal, pogotovo u zemlji Srbije koja jako puno polaže na svoju poljoprivredu. Radi se i u žitaricama, i u voću, i u povrću i onda smo otprilike nakon jedne detaljne analize, a boga mi smo se bavili par meseci sa time, od nekoliko sektora suzili celu priču na jabuke i na zamrznute višnje. I prvi, da kažemo, segment je i urađen zbog toga što smo gledali gde imamo velike potencijale, a gde imamo veliki još veći problem na tržištu s obzirom na situaciju sa Rusijom koja nam je bila tu veliko tržište i gde smo primetili konstantan jedan pad u nekim godinama koje dolaze i trend daljeg pada u budućnosti. Videli smo da moramo tražiti nova tržišta i zbog toga je taj sektor ušao u priču. S druge strane smo odabrali zamrznutu višnju kao nešto što vidimo da ima veliki potencijal s obzirom na specifičnosti koje imamo u smislu sortimenta, u smislu površine koju zauzima, ali i u tome da govorimo o jednom proizvodu koji ima konstantno dobru tražnju na tržištu i po nama veliki potencijal. S druge strane, ovih par godina od korone pa nadalje, stalno imamo poremećaja na tržištu, što zbog Ukrajine, što zbog logistike. I vidimo da pogotovo ti problemi sa logistikom i udaljena tržišta, način transporta, vrste proizvoda koje mogu da idu, prosto upućuju na to da možda više sad treba obratiti pažnju i na taj deo prerade, odnosno da kažem u ovom slučaju kada govorimo o višim zamrzavanja proizvoda koji ipak možete duže sačuvati, na dalje destinacije transportovati, ali opet ono što je najvažnije, treba doći do pravih kupaca, do onoga kome to treba i kome to možete po cenama po kojima to imate ovde proizvedeno i prodati. I tu je ono da u stvari smo primetili najveći nedostatak kod nas, da dobar deo naših proizvođača u stvari ima jako slabe konekcije u izvozu, da možda ne radi na jedan adekvatan način tu promociju, da nekako ostajemo kratki na finalizaciji celog procesa prethodne proizvodnje i prerade. I u tom smislu vidimo da ovaj projekat može i već, da kažem, daje neke odlične rezultate. Mogu da kažem iz mog ličnog iskustva, sa gostovanjem na jednom od ovih sajmova, način na koji je određena priprema, način na koji smo odradili tamo sastanke, imali mogućnost da dobijemo neki drugi vid upoznavanja sa tržištom i sa kupcima, je već dalo neke jako dobre rezultate i neka nova znanja i perspektive. U tom smislu svi dalje ovi naši nastupi smatram da će doprineti još više na boljoj realizaciji onoga što se radi u procesu primarne poljoprivredne proizvodnje i mislim da je jako važno da se naoružamo što je moguće većim znanjem, jer kako vidimo sad, poljoprivreda generalno nema veliki rast, naprotiv, svuda je u nekom, da kažemo, relativno blagom padu i zbog klimatskih promjena i specifičnosti različitih na tržištu. A s druge strane, imamo situaciju da Evropska unija, koja je nama glavni kupac naših proizvoda, pogotovo prerađenih, uvodi konstantno nove standarde, nove zahteve, tako da je od velike važnosti da se i naši trgovci i naši proizvođači i prerađivači u pravo vreme upoznaju šta su ti zahtevi i na koji način da se odgovori na te zahteve. Mi smo već imali nekoliko različitih treninga na teme novih standarda, ali nekako sam stekao utisak da kod nas to još nema te svesti koliko je to važno i da svi nekako odlažu to do zadnjeg momenta, pa kad mu baš budu zatražili, onda će se to odraditi, što naravno nije lako niti izvodljivo. U tom smislu mislim da treba intenzivnije raditi na ovim edukacijama i na promociji ovih novih standarda i da se našim proizvođačima s jedne strane da do znanja koliko je to važno i koliko će to biti neophodno u budućnosti, a opet da im paralelno damo te alate i znanja s kojima će moći da se praktično predstave na tom tržištu i da ne samo zadrže kupce koji imaju, već i da dođu do novih. Tako da, eto, hvala vam svima i drago mi je da imamo jako dobru saradnju sa partnerima iz Švajcarske i da imaju jako puno razumevanja za našu situaciju i da moram da kažem da evo sve dosadašnje aktivnosti koje smo radili su uvek bile dogovorene, iskoordinirane i da kažemo na neki način usaglašene sa realnim potrebama sektora, što je jako važno i veoma korisno. Hvala i uspešan rad svima.
Hvala najlepše, Aleksandre, kao i uvek jedna sveobuhvatna analiza, ali na jako koncizan i ovaj put kraći način. Hvala najlepše. Za sam kraj uvodnog dela, drago mi je da je sa nama moja koleginica Biljana Glišić-Petrović iz Evropske mreže preduzetništva. Biljana će nas upoznati sa programima koje Evropska mreža preduzetnika pruža kroz podršku malim i srednjim kompanijama, kao podrška plasmanu proizvoda i usluga na tržište Evropske unije. Biljana, izvoli.
Hvala Dušanka. Kao što sam predstavljena, ja radim u Centru za integracije Privredne komore Srbije i ukratko ću vas upoznati sa Evropskom mrežom preduzetništva, projektom Evropske komisije koja je oformljena kao, i to zapravo predstavlja najveću mrežu za podršku malim i srednjim preduzećima sa međunarodnim ambicijama. Sastav mreže čine javne i privatne institucije i organizacije, regionalne države, državne agencije i fondovi, privredne komore u našem slučaju i ostalo. Konzorcijum EN Srbija čine Privredna komora Srbije kao koordinator, inovacioni centar Mašinskog fakulteta, Institut Mihajlo Pupin, poslovni inkubator Novi Sad, Regionalna agencija Srbije i Univerzitet u Nišu. Evropska mreža preduzetništva nalazi se u preko 40 zemalja, u preko 450 institucija i organizacija širom sveta. Može se pronaći kako u svim zemljama Evropske unije, tako daleke Azije, tako i na severnoameričkom kontinentu i južnoameričkom kontinentu. Fokus N mreže zapravo je to kako mi pomažemo preduzećima, odnosno u kojim oblastima, u raznoraznim oblastima inovacije, održivost, otpornost, jedinstveno tržište pre svega, izvori finansiranja, internacionalizacija i drugo. Unapređujemo zapravo potencijal preduzeća da inoviraju svoje poslovanje, a razviju nove proizvode, usluge i poslovne modele. Jedna od stavki je Horizont Evropa, o čemu bih htjela nekom drugom prilikom više da pričam. To je zapravo, samo ću ukratko, to je zapravo program Evropske komisije namenjen veoma inovativnim poslovnim idejama ili proizvodima, tako da u slučaju da neko od preduzetnika iz ove ili drugih oblasti bude imao takav nekakav inovativni proizvod ili uslugu, bilo bi jako zahvalno da se javi kako bismo dalje razgovarali na tu temu. Što se tiče EN mreže, poslovna partnerstva su nešto što je zapravo core našeg biznisa, pomažemo preduzećima da pronađu poslovne partnere širom sveta. Tu postoji jedan link, meni je žao da iz tehničkih razloga nisam u mogućnosti da vam pokažem prezentaciju. Putem tog linka, sasvim besplatno i bez većeg angažovanja, možete pretražiti poslovnu bazu saradnje u zemlji i u inostranstvu širom sveta. Posle jedne kraće procedure možete i vi kao pravno lice biti prepoznati u toj istoj bazi podataka. Veoma koristan link koji vam može pomoći za razvoj vaše buduće poslovne saradnje. Mi također pružamo savjet u vezi sa raspoloživim nacionalnim izvorima finansiranja kao izvorima finansiranja strane Evropske unije. Pomažemo malim i srednjim preduzećima u vezi zakona, direktiva i pravila koje pratimo kao usklađenje ka Evropskoj uniji. Pružamo podršku preduzećima da izađu međunarodno tržište i iskoriste mogućnosti povezivanja sa inostranim partnerima, tako što blisko radimo sa svakom kompanijom ili preduzećem kako bi ih pomogli na njihovom konkretnom primjeru. Već više od 15 godina postojimo u Srbiji, upoznamo kompanije sa pravim poslovnim partnerima, dovodimo inovativne ideje do komercijalnog uspeha i ono što je jako važno su sve usluge Evropske mreže preduzetništva besplatne, te se nemojte ustručavati da nas kontaktirate. Možete nas pronaći na društvenim mrežama, LinkedInu, imamo naš sajt, blog, pratimo uspješne priče takođe, kojih je za sada dosta i mi se nadamo će ih biti u budućnosti još više. U ovom priliku bi se zahvaljujem se na pažnji, molim da nas kontaktirate ako imate bilo koja pitanja na eu@pks.rs ili da nas zapratite preko društvenih mreža. Hvala organizatorima puno, Dušanka tebi takođe.
Hvala Biljana najlepše, zaista mnoge mogućnosti koje nudi Evropska mreža preduzetništva i još jednom apel na naše privrednike da koriste podršku projekata i programa koji su definisali. A sada u ovom delu prelazimo na prezentaciju održivi izvoz voća i trendovi na tržištu Nemačke, kao i na moje sjajne sagovornike danas. Pre svega sa nama su gospodin Simon Waring, vlasnik i direktor Green Seed UK, kao i gospođa Nicole Gunter, direktorka Green Seed za Nemačku, Švajcarsku i Austriju. Dragi Simon, zamolila bih te da nam se predstaviš i da nam preneseš svoje viđenje trenutnih promena na tržištu hrane u Evropi s obzirom na tvoje jako bogato iskustvo u plasmanu i pozicioniranju velikog broja prehrambenih proizvoda. Bilo bi lepo da nam sa tvoje strane sugerišeš koliko se tržište Evrope promenilo i koliko su ti zahtevi za održivošću zaista toliko intenzivni. Hvala. Izvoli se.
Thank you very much indeed, and we're delighted to be here as Green Seed Group to support Serbian exporters. To introduce ourselves, my name is Simon Waring, and I'm Managing Director of Green Seed based in London in the UK, and my colleague Nicole, who's going to be the star of the show today, of course, is the one who's doing the presentation on the German market and its opportunities. Our association with Serbia dates back, in fact, some years now. So I'm delighted to say we were invited to be part of the inaugural Belgrade Food Show. I think it was back in 2018 or so. And we've done a number of initiatives to mentor and train Serbian exporters with relation to the UK and the wider European market. So we're delighted to have had a very sustainable association with Serbia over several years, and to be continuing that now and expanding with more detail on the German opportunity. So I'll hand over to Nicole.
Hvala, Simon.
Thank you so much, Simon. Let me just share my screen. So sorry, Simon, do you want to get into this, or shall I skip this? Because there was a technical audio problem, so I didn't hear all of what you said. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So let's go straight ahead then.
Excellent, thank you. So yes, delighted to share my experience from almost 20 years now, working in the food and drink market in Germany, and also handling or working with fruit and nuts and dried fruit and vegetable producers. So I would like to start by giving you, setting the scene with a rough overview of the German fruit market. So I'm conscious that you have various different objectives. You are different companies, different sizes, different product offer, etc. So, but I've tried to put the slides in a way that there's something interesting for all of you. So we will go through the fruit market, also then followed by consumer behavior, because that information is usually a bit difficult to find if you are not in Germany and do not speak the German language, and most of all maybe do not want to spend so much money on market data. Then the German grocery retail market will look into that and the requirements, because that is of course a channel of that's highly important and interesting for everyone. And then closing with recommendations and potential opportunities. And then last but not least, of course, we'll have Q&A session. So let's start. So we have, in terms of so fresh fruit, frozen, but as well as processed fruit, we have a value of 20 billion euros. That's the estimate for 2024. And of course, fresh produce, that is not supposed to be the focus today, has the largest share. The German average consumer has quite, so if you translate the 97.5 kilogram per year that a German person consumes, you will see that that is probably a very large apple, if you like. Then, so I'm just hearing that the sharing is not working, so you can't see my screen, and I'll try to. So is that now, maybe can someone, because I can't see the screen. Can someone
Yes, it's
confirm?
good, Nicole. All good, Nicole.
Oh, okay, thank you. So sorry about that. So anyway, market value we've covered, per capita consumption 97.5 kilogram per year. So that would mean everyone eats a very large apple a day at least. Then we have citrus fruit and bananas, and also berries, which we know is of particularly interest to you, are also within, so quite a good consumption of 8 kilogram per capita per year. And what is very encouraging is that the growth forecast for fruit is excellent. So we have, so that is said to be around 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4% for the next 5 years. And again, because berries are so important, an important produce in Serbia, so this market value is supposed to reach by the end of this year 89 million euros, and even so more than doubling in 2029, which is very encouraging. Then we have going on to the trends, again, that all points in the direction of more fruit being consumed. So before the pandemic even, there was a new health consciousness. Everyone wants to eat more cleanly, more healthily and more nutritiously. So that is reflected in more demand for fruit products. Then, of course, sustainability, which is our large topic here, that has become more important, and that is actually on various levels, not only for the products, but it's you can find it everywhere in the packaging. And we'll get later onto that in delivery, value chains, expectations from buyers, etc. So this is omnipresent, as it were. Then environmental awareness. So Germans, I think the Nordic countries are probably best known for the environmental consciousness, but Germany as well has always had a very high attitude for that, or respect for the environment, and you can see this or this reflected in every way. Then interestingly, so transparency has also become more important. So consumers want to know what they buy. They are interested to understand where products are from, sometimes even individual ingredients. And there are German, or here in Germany, there are products on the market that reflect that in their product packaging and in their communication to the consumer. Then, of course, due to the health and sustainability trend overall, you can see a lot of snacks now going more in the direction of the of dried fruit and nuts. So any fruit-based snack, because that again is considered as healthy. We'll jump before digging deeper into the market, into individual segments and consumption. We will have a look first at consumption, or rather the production in Germany. So Germans consume a lot of fruit, but we are not at all self-sufficient. So only 15% around is covered by what we grow here. So we heavily rely on imports. So I will. It's a lot of data I want to share with you, but I will only pick out little pieces from each slide, because we have only a limited amount of time. But you will have, of course, then later on the possibility to read through things in more detail. And this is why also I have put a little bit more text maybe on the slides than I would usually do in a presentation, but everything for your benefit to read up on this if you want to review individual details, individual slides. Then the majority of fruit consumption. So Germans yes, we do like our apples on the one hand, but then so any citrus fruit and bananas would make up 42% of the consumption. And again, because berries are so interesting for you, if we count so bush berries and strawberries together, we have a 9% share. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can also see an overview of the importance of individual fruit types by per capita consumption. Yeah, as explained, apples dominate what we grow here in Germany. So there's only a little bit of bush berries and strawberries. So again, we rely here on imports and also from berries coming from your country. Same for sweet and sour cherries and various other sorts. And even though apples dominate our cultivation areas, we cannot fulfill all the demand. So that also could be an opportunity. And to understand a bit more from a consumer's perspective, so when a German consumer, when a shopper goes into a store, they would find fruit obviously sitting in different categories. So you have on the one hand the fresh produce, the fresh fruit. You have more and more, because convenience is getting more important, the fresh cut fruit, sometimes prepared in store, sometimes delivered with a very short shelf life into store. Then, of course, we have the frozen food, and we'll look a bit closer into that. Then nuts and dried fruit, and hot processed fruit, which would be then fruit jam and so that sort of thing. Now, to give you a little bit of a feel and maybe I hope also a bit of inspiration, just to share with you a few products and trends. So in terms of fruit jams, fruit spreads, so in recent years, and this has been tying in, of course, with a health trend, there are more and more products that have less sugar, or some even experiment with zero sugar. So some manufacturers and brands substituting that with sweeteners or something like that. But there are also products on the market that substitute the sugar with, for example, grape juice. So interesting new products on the market. Then another one that's actually at the moment just being launched is Franui, that is frozen. And it's fruit that is covered in chocolate. You take it out of the freezer and let it thaw for a little while, and then it's ready to consume. So this product tries to combine health and indulgence. Then a lot of product has come on the market that you can use to prepare your smoothie bowls or drinks or smoothies or bowls, and these usually or very often contain berries. Here in this example, the brand is Oatsum. They try to have nice names, so there's another thing that you can interest a German shopper, German consumer in, to have interesting names that create attention. So this one is Alice not in Wonderland, but in Berryland, and it's a smoothie bowl, and it contains strawberries and the acai berry. Then freeze-dried fruit, here you see from Koro, the brand Koro. So there are more and more freeze-dried fruit products on the market, in this case here strawberries, that you also use for to put in your porridge, and to maybe also use in shakes and smoothies that you prepare in your mixer at home. Then the fresh cut fruit you see here, even though this is not so much a focus of in your country, I know, for exporting to Germany, just nevertheless, because it's convenience and a topic, this is even so interesting that there are quite a few private labels around to do that offer. And then German retailers try to differentiate themselves by, and this is a trend from recent years really, to create their own apple varieties, for example. So the example I've put here is Aldiamo. That is the special apple from that is offered by Aldi. So, and Edeka as well has a magic, they call it magic, Edeka magic apple. That's also a trend. So this is how you can bring something new to the category, how you as a retailer can, of course, make things interesting for your target group, for your shopper. Then we have that's also more and more. I mean, vitamin shots or smoothies have been on the market for a while, but the vitamin shots particularly, there's now more ingredients such as berries or special berries, because obviously with all the oxidants and nutri power that brands try to capture that in a shot. In this example from Kloster Kitchen, it's acai. Then we have, of course, a very large market segment of baby food for the pouches, so which means essentially fruit purees for children. So, and these are usually organic. That is what is very important to German parents here. Organic food for toddlers and for young children. Then another one for breakfast or overnight oats. So you have either special like oat products that are already mixed with certain berries to facilitate the time poor consumer the preparation of healthy food. And then last but not least, an example again for children. So it's also in snacking for adults, but more so really for children, due to for the sweet taste. We have quite a lot of fruit chips or crisps in that area packaged. So here the example is a plum. So let us have a look at things that are important when we consume fruit here in Germany. So on the one hand, organic, because organic, the development in the German market has been really very good in recent years across all channels. So grocery retail is taking the lion's share with over 67%. And indeed, 40% of organic sales in the grocery retail channel are in discount stores. So, I mean, it's always the question, do you enter discounters in Germany or not? They make up after all around 43% of the market. But really for many companies, for many producers, it's been interesting to, of course, not maybe have a permanent listing, but in-out promotions, or if you have interesting special products to offer, this can really be an interesting opportunity as well. So not to be not considered straight from the start, but to be investigated for sure. And in terms of fresh fruit, so 7.2% of fresh fruit is organic here in terms of volume sales. And here you see, so bananas are the top organic fruit in Germany, followed by apples and lemons, and closely by oranges. And then there are several others where the share is just smaller versus the standard type of fruit. Then if you, so sustainability, I've mentioned that already, and it's a topic that you encounter everywhere. So on the one hand, consumers like, of course, when they buy organic products, that you have a certain sustainability contribution already by buying that product. Then we have, so be it fresh produce or readily packaged products, there's always the packaging consider. And now recent developments are, so either we try to avoid or producers try to avoid packaging altogether. So we have more like loose fruit or certain packaging that falls away. So for example, if you have a frozen product that is packed in a paper box, cardboard box. Very often there used to be a plastic bag in the box. So now the product, be it fruit or vegetable or a ready meal in frozen, is now without the plastic bag. And if you use plastic, then many claim on the plastic bag that, oh, we are using, this contains like 30% recycled plastic. So we put heavy emphasis on the questions, how, do we have to use plastic? If so, can we use recycled plastic? And how can we reuse this? And this also ties in, of course, with the German packaging ordinance. And I'll get onto that later on, where you also pay a fee for using certain materials, and the more environmentally damaging the material is, the higher the fee. So overall, consumers, but also buyers expect more transparency, not only along the supply chain, but also in terms of ingredients. So as I said, consumers want to know where products come from. Then CO2 reduction is also a topic that pops up increasingly in German food and drink trade magazines. So, for example, Lidl did announce a few weeks ago that they are going to stop the import of fruit that has been flown to Germany. So they focus on the shipping by sea. Then regional products, of course, to reduce the distance. Although, I mean, Germany is so large, so in certain areas, Serbia is, the distance is then easier than from the north to the south in Germany. So regional is always a term of definition. And then biodiversity, it goes without saying that this is important to maintain a sustainable and healthy planet. Let us have a look towards frozen fruit. So you can see here in the pie chart the value shares of frozen fruit in retail, grocery retail last year. So fruit is a small share only, but given the large size of the market, this is still interesting, and the segment has been growing. So you have a lot of the standard like mono products like raspberries, strawberries, etc., but a lot of more like fruit mixes and other products. So, and here is again some examples from the market where you can clearly see as well. I mean, it's a pity we can't, so we don't have like 3D animated photos here. But for example, the top left-hand example. So this is. Gives you see it gives you recycle with paper for the consumer. Very often you find now advice on how to discard the box or the bag. Then you have a lot of organic product, a lot of unsweetened product. You have so pomegranate in frozen, that is a fairly new addition to the range. Then as well, the acai drops you see here from the brand Holy. So that's fairly unique to have another format. So usually everyone has like full the entire fruit, and they have now put the puree into pellets, into drops, so you can, so it defreezes quicker for your acai bowl or your porridge or your muesli. And also if you want to make a smoothie or a shake, then that's also easier and more convenient. Then in the bottom row, you can see this is just from the second largest retailer, Rewe. the sour cherries, raspberries, and also blueberries. So on the one hand, you have the standard private labels, but also organic private labels. And private label at the moment is very sought after, very much increasing in recent years due to the economic situation in Germany and the inflation rate. So consumers looking to spend a little bit less, and private label help with that. So there is also potential for sure. Then for the nuts and dried fruit, so this we look always, it's one category, so it's always nuts and dried fruit. I'm conscious we are only here interested in the fruit, but this as well is growing in value and volume, even though the consumption of dried fruit has maybe a small decline here from 1.4 kilogram, or it is now at 1.4 kilogram. And so, but brands, and particularly Seeberger, which is very strong in dried fruit, they always try to and have in recent times to launch new products to make it more interesting for the German consumer. So they, for example, they try to combine again the healthy aspect with indulgence. So Seeberger has here on the left-hand side created a mix that contains also the fruit covered by chocolate, or then to offer fair trade pineapple. Fair trade, again, like resonating with German consumers with the environmental or sustainable aspect as well. Exotic mixes, yeah, and also with Clute, another major player in that area, they have created cashew and cranberry mix. So cranberries, again, being maybe not such a standard fruit. So everyone's always trying to think of new things to attract consumers' attention. And speaking of the consumer, let us briefly look. So fruit is really, so we have a high consumption, and 71% of German consumers, according to the just recently published nutrition report from Germany, consume fruit and vegetables on a daily basis. And there are several criteria to be considered when they purchase fruit. So on the one hand, quality, price, and taste is very important. Origin and organic as well, then followed by environmental awareness. But so we have a lot of different marks, organic marks, other marks. So there was the question, so what kind of, what do you look for when you shop fruit and vegetables? So many, of course, don't pay attention to that, but there's a very high share, 35.9%, that look for the German organic mark, or 27.4% for the fair trade. Then you have several other organic marks, so with different level of requirements, but that would be, I guess, a conversation for another time. So in any case, bottom line is that over 50% of consumers want to have or look for some sort of guidance when buying fruit, and they want to find that in the mark on front of pack. Then the 95% of Germans eat fresh fruit or buy fresh fruit. And then for the frozen fruit as well, the share has increased. So that's over 22% that buy frozen fruit. So quite a lot of households consume that. And in terms of regions, so I mean, what origin is preferred. So of course, Germany, if it's regional, it is preferred. But of course, we can't, on the one hand, cover our the demand we have, and on the other hand, of course, we also have, we don't grow everything we want to eat. So this is where the high import numbers from that you saw at the beginning obviously come from. Then let us briefly look at the German grocery retail market. So the sales are very high, have continuously grown. We know also in 2023 the figure will be up. So there's that is the nice thing about Germany. There's always even a niche market can be very attractive. We have a split of different store formats, and I said the discount format is also quite important. But there are lots of supermarkets and hypermarkets, and if we are not talking about frozen fruit, then or chilled fruit, then of course for the ambient and shelf-stable fruit products, there is certainly the drugstores are very interesting as potential trade customers. So, and here you have the split of different, it shows a bit the concentration, and that is actually what German or everyone that deals with German trade customers struggles with at the moment a little bit, the high concentration. So that limits your opportunities on the one hand if you want to really make a dent in the market and deal with the leading retailers, which are Edeka and Schwarz Group, for example. Nevertheless, let us look at market characteristics and requirements. So we have put together for you an export checklist in the annex where you can go through everything bit by bit. So I will not go into detail into the slides, but just to note that when you calculate retail prices, so shelf prices, you must include 7% for fruit. Then I touched upon the, again, sustainability here is key. We have to, everyone has to register with a central administrative body. It's called Lucid. When you put product on the market that is packaged, because you have to pay packaging fees. So maybe that's also, if you have any questions there, we have a question and answer session later on, and maybe we can touch upon that if you have any questions in that moment. Then we have, there are certain, and that's an interesting example I've brought you here. It's for sweet potatoes, and Rewe, leading retailer number 3 here in Germany, they have lasered the Rewe organic and also the German organic mark on the product itself to avoid packaging. So that was, they did that a few years ago, and it was quite an interesting and quite an uproar, because very novel, very, of course, a brilliant way to avoid plastic. So also so wherever you can, the zero waste solutions are preferred. Then when you, nevertheless, of course, you have to have some packaging for many products you can't do without. So you must, of course, adhere to the EU regulations. And some of the German regulations, in turn, are more strict. So whatever product you have and whatever subsegment you play in, you want to check the German regulations. And we have put a few links for you together to, for further information on EU regulations and Germany specifically. But there again, as well, if you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them afterwards. And you see here on the right-hand side at the bottom, so a few producers, but also retailers with their private label products have started to put guidance for German consumers on the packaging, and then they would, this tells you then, for example, if you have a cap on the bottle, where to throw that away, and it gives directions which different bin you have to use to discard of the packaging you have from the product at home. I'm not going to dig into here logistics and how you ship your product from Serbia to Germany, to a German retailer. They all have specific requirements you must adhere to. So you want to check up on that before you make an offer. Then we have also, if you put a product on the market, you are usually required to sign up to Atrify, which has all the product specifications online in the cloud, and most of the retailers work with that for packaged products. There's a setup fee and an annual fee. So that's for many, I think, of you also standard. Then when you another advice, before you quote to any of the trade customers you see here, like Kaufland or Tegut, you want to make sure if you can invoice directly, or if you have to go through Markant, which provides an invoice service, and they of course will invoice you or want to have a fee for that. So that's also something to keep in mind and clarify before you make an offer. Then listing fees are always a hotly discussed topic. You usually can't get away. You have to pay listing fees if you're a brand. And there are several different margins and to consider for the retailer on the one hand, and for the distributor as well if you work with one. So depending on, if you're a private label producer, of course, you have to cover the design cost and the product test and analysis. So there are several things to be kept in mind. And this is also something that I encourage you to read through again afterwards before you engage with a German buyer. How to promote the product on shelf? There are several options. Anything from tastings or an ad in the sales leaflet or a display. Displays obviously don't work for frozen, but it's usually then a negotiation with the retailer on how to best support your product on shelf. Germany, and some of you might have already found that out, is not so easy. But if you have an interesting product and if you have a good USP, clearly defined USP, you can make it work. Often you need local help to do this. And there are several options how to get German help. But maybe, so I don't know where your products are at the moment and which channels you play in, but there are obviously several options. So you can play in grocery retail, in food service, in also the organic and natural health food stores are an interesting environment, on interesting trade customer base. If you offer organic, then find food for more value-added products or e-commerce. We have now quite a few pure players, e-commerce pure players. And so an example here would be Knusper. That's actually so from the part of the Rolik group from Czech Republic. Or if you are a dried fruit producer, World of Sweets, to have your dried berries listed there. Then food service wholesaler, so Frische Paradies, premium, catering to the premium hotel and restaurant industry. So thinking of fruit purees, etc. Or of course, if you offer frozen products, Bofrost and Eismann, the frozen food home delivery service, are also surely of interest to you. Depending on where you want to go, you choose your how you want to enter carefully. Either you do it directly or with a partner, and there as well several options depending on what kind of volume you want to reach and what kind of control you would like to have. And sometimes you can even if you play in various channels, you can have, of course, different solutions for different channels as long as your partners are okay and the exclusivity and territory is clearly defined. then yeah, again, a big advice, because that's sometimes is difficult and interrupts you in conversations then, or getting your listing over the line. Have all your ducks in a row, have everything ready, have everything checked before you engage with buyers. I can only encourage you to do that. Also, you want to have ideally in German all the information that a buyer would want to hear from you. And sometimes it's maybe only a background information, because the pitch deck you want to provide so the trade presentation to a buyer, this should not be 30 slides long or so. Try to condense it and focus on really the most important stuff. Yeah, I mean, the pitch deck is really there to gauge a first interest and maybe get the buyer to agree to a video call. So face-to-face meetings are honestly not so easy to get nowadays, or not in a first step, let's say, because now with video call and being able to have a proper conversation, sharing a presentation in video, that of course is what a buyer wants to do primarily in a first step. Then, yeah, the German buyer. So of course, you know, you deal with buyers from your market, but also maybe also from abroad. So you have to prepare well to make an impression. And so we know from working with international companies, what they find always a challenge is, so if the German buyer says, I would like to have that offer by Tuesday at 12 o'clock, they really mean that. So it won't do to then only in the afternoon send that, but then it needs to be really there by 12 o'clock. Then they, if you approach a German buyer and you get a no, don't be discouraged. You just don't accept a no. You will just try again in 6 or 12 months, depending on how you have agreed to be in contact again. And you can, of course, use every new product or every new relaunch to contact the buyer again, to stay in touch, to make yourself heard. And of course, it's a fine balance between, you shouldn't bombard the buyer with emails, of course, but if you knock on the door once in a while to keep the engagement going, that is certainly positive. And so whoever deals with the German market just needs to have a certain amount of patience, and I mean, be realistic. And if you need some help, or if you do not speak German, it is really good to have someone that helps you speaking German, and maybe even handling the key account management for you, because of course the German buyer would like to speak in their native language. Then lead generation for ahead of trade shows, so depending on where your focus is, what kind of product you have. Probably you're familiar with most of the names. It's and if you haven't been to any of those, it makes maybe sense first to visit, have a look, and also maybe engage in your network and obtain information, how exchange information with fellow producers to see if they think it's worthwhile going. It depends entirely on what kind of product you have and what objective you have, what target group you have, if you should participate in a trade show or not, and have a stand. So for sure, I will see some of you in 2 weeks at the Food Ingredient Europe in Frankfurt. And just to conclude now with opportunities for you or for Serbian fruit products. For sure, as we have stressed, strawberries and berries in general are really interesting. This is where you have a lot of offer, as we understand, than cherries and plums. And we cannot cover all the demand with the apples ourselves. So there again, that might be an opportunity. Whatever you focus on, you have to dig a little bit deeper and have a look at the competitive environment. But overall, so here just a few ideas. So maybe wild harvested berries could be interesting because that again ties in with sustainability, or different or unusual varieties or uncommon apples or berries could be interesting to position your product, your puree for consumer in bowls, or have special purees, maybe even with added vitamins or something like that. I mean, the list is endless, and it all boils down to you looking at the specific segment you want to target and understanding the competitive set. Yeah, so we have reached the point where there can be questions and answers, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So yeah, any questions, any answers you have, Simon and I are happy to answer them.
Nikole, hvala najlepše na ovoj tako opsežnoj prezentaciji i na istraživanju tržišta. Evo, primetili smo, kao što si nam rekla, da je tržišna vrednost nemačkog tržišta u kontekstu svežeg, zaleđenog i prerađenog voća oko 20 milijardi evra i da se očekuje rast od 3 do 4% u periodu od 2024. do 2029. godine. Da li možda možeš da proceniš u ovom trenutku gde bi fokus bio veći, da li na svežem ili na prerađenom voću, eventualno zaleđenom, u kontekstu potencijala srpskih kompanija?
So the data that was published in that respect doesn't give any further details on the separate individual segments, so I can't answer that question fully. So we only know that overall this is the annual compound growth rate. But for frozen fruit, for sure, we have seen over the last 10 past years, the value and volume has gone up. So there are more, also the health benefit and everything that is looking into the direction that there's going to be more growth in that area. For fresh produce, well, that is a bit of a more difficult question to answer, to be honest, because we look at the one hand at apples, which are grown in Germany, but also here in surrounding countries, from Serbia, from South Tyrol, so from Italy. And then you have, on the other hand, bananas and exotic fruit that come from further away. So it's a bit difficult to judge, but overall the things look good. So growth looks good.
Hvala najlepše. Pošto je, Nikol, tvoja kancelarija u Frankfurtu i pošto si prilično upućena na retail sistem i na sve učesnike u kanalima prodaje, da li možeš da nam kažeš kako je to pregovarati sa uvoznicima i distributerima u Nemačkoj? Da malo dočaraš našim kompanijama, na što treba da obrate pažnju, na koji način da se pripreme, koji bi bio tvoj predlog?
Yeah, so tying on to what I've just outlined, I think the key really always is to be well prepared, to have a look at the product set. So in grocery retail, it's of course easy. You just you go to the store, you do store checks, you have then a good understanding of who is on shelf, which brands, which products, also what kind of packaging format. So sometimes this is something you can differentiate with. You will get an understanding of the pricing, and then you have to analyze, are you do you have something different to bring to the shelf? So, and this is this USP or USPs are the most important thing to get across then when you speak to a distributor buyer or retail buyer, so that they can understand their advantage, of course, if they list your product, if they engage in conversation with you. And buyers appreciate it always if the sales folder or the pitch deck, the trade presentation is in German language, because you never know how well a German buyer speaks English. So I have been to meetings where I had to translate everything from English to German and back. I have been to meetings where the buyer was okay to speak English. And so it was an easy conversation, all in English. And then buyers that are okay to listen to English, but they are maybe ashamed of the pronunciation or don't want to lose face. And then they are only comfortable in answering in German. So it's all kinds. So, but you need to be prepared for everything.
Hvala najljepše, Nikol. Evo, ako ukratko možemo da zaključimo, videli smo koliko je sustainability kao održivost jako opsežan koncept i koliko je postao zahtevan, jer više nije opcija, nego je prosto regulatorni instrument. Koliko će se zahtevi iz direktiva i regulativa Evropske unije reflektovati i na naše poslovanje i na naše privrednike koje već sada izvoze ili su orijentisani ka izvozu, kako bismo im pomogli u upoznavanju sa osnovnim zahtevima održivosti. Zahvaljujući SIPO projektu, Privredna komora Srbije je razvila alat Sustainability Readiness Assessment kao podršku privrednicima koja treba da im pomogne da procene sami koji je nivo spremnosti njihovih kompanija na putu ka sustainability-u kroz sve komponente koje su dominantne za oblast životne sredine, društvene uključenosti kao i upravljanja. Takođe, Nikol je podelila sa nama koliko je jako koncentrisano tržište Nemačke i kako je jaka konkurencija. Isto tako je ukazala na nišu na kojima bi naši privrednici mogli da se usredsrede. Kroz veoma praktičnu i veoma deskriptivnu prezentaciju ukazala je i na specifične trendove u ishrani, nutritivnim vrednostima, ponašanju potrošača, što takođe može biti jedna od ideja za dalji razvoj proizvoda. Takođe možemo se fokusirati i na private label kao opciju, to takođe može biti jedna od naših niša. Koristim priliku da se zahvalim svim našim govornicima i učesnicima, zaista sjajna obraćanja. Hvala najlepše na svim savetima i na smernicama koje ste pružili našim kompanijama. Ukoliko nema pitanja, vidim da ih nema ni na chatu, koristim priliku da se zahvalim organizatorima, učesnicima i svim našim kompanijama koji su nas pratili tokom ovog webinara. Hvala najlepše. Do narednog viđenja. Imate kontakte Privredne komore Srbije i svih zaposlenih koji su zaista na usluzi našim privrednicima. Želim vam sve najlepše. Do sledeće prilike i novog webinara. Prijatan dan svima. Hvala.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.